start.
Go on, you start.
You start.
No,
You start.
Good evening. Welcome to Boro Chat. Hey, look, got an action-packed show tonight, and I will tell you, these are just cosmetic.
Again?
Yeah, they're just cosmetic.
At some point, they'll be real.
It's not that
That's how I started. That's how it started.
It's not that my eyes are bad. I just think it makes me look more
Should have
intelligent.
bought my glasses. We could all be wearing.
Anyway, look, fantastic show ahead. We've got loads to talk about. It's been a massive busy week for the Boro. Look, we've got the Teesside Rambler, Mr. Phil Bullock, talking Bullocks, Ian and Yaff's Gaff at the Eston Nornby Supreme Social Club. We've got to talk a little bit quiet because the clairvoyant's next door. And to be fair, she can probably hear us anyway.
Didn't see that coming.
And we've only got the Redcar Rock, Mr. Statue himself, Mr. Paul Burke with us on the show. Gents, loads to talk about, isn't there?
Loads.
Should we dive straight in?
Why not?
We'll dive straight in. Look, I'm counting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 signings. 6 signings.
You're joking.
Yeah, joking, aren't you? The
Unheard of.
The Boro don't do anything by halves. All fit Michael Carrick's bill as well, by the looks of it. Should we start with old Van der Berg? Rav Van der Berg. We've got another Rav, haven't we? What do you know about him, Paul?
His brother plays for Liverpool.
Yeah.
His brother was on loan at Preston in the Championship. Made 62 appearances in about 2 years, so his brother's probably filled him in a fair bit.
Exactly. So do we think that is why, bear in mind, if we read the press, he's turned down some massive clubs, Phil, to come to Boro?
So. Yeah. He's going to want that, not guarantee of first team football, but he's going to want an element of a guarantee that he is in and around the matchday squad, and he is going to appear and further ply his trade. But he's young. We're not, as Boro fans, we're going to expect everything. 1, because his first name's Rav.
Yeah.
And 2, because he's a foreigner, and we always put that pressure on foreign players to perform as soon as they kick the first ball. But we've just got to be patient, and I think he'll be great.
Well, looking back at that, I mean, he's 19 years old. He's a centre half, Paul. And I'm going to see that, you'll tell me if I get this right. He's played for, is it Pexvoll or PEC?
Pexvoll, yeah.
Well, I nearly got there, didn't I?
Good attempt.
21 times for his former club he's played, so it's not as if he's wet behind the ears. He's had a bit of football, hasn't he?
In the Eredivisie, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas if he'd signed for someone like AC Milan, he'd have been straight in there beating.
Yeah.
He's looking at you thinking, Eredivisie? What? You what?
I thought that was another new...
Eredivisie what?
I thought it was another new signing.
Who's he played for?
Look, his last team as well got promoted, didn't they? So it's not as if, I always think success breeds success, me. And for him to come from a team, club, what's been promoted, to jump ship, we must have offered it. We must offer him something more than money.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
And to sign a 19-year-old with that sort of experience at such a young age isn't just brilliant for him, but it's brilliant for the club. It's brilliant for the players at Middlesbrough already that perhaps haven't experienced. Hayden Hackney's not had that experience, So for a player as young as that to come to the club with that experience, that will be able to share that experience with the likes of Hayden Hackney and Coulson if he's around long enough.
And look, we've all been watching obviously the under-21s Euros, but this guy, old Rav Van der Berg, he's represented his country at every level, hasn't he, Paul?
Absolutely, yeah. And bearing in mind when we signed him, Phil's going back to his age, we only signed him when he was 18. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, he turned 19 last week, but he's made all those appearances. Yeah. When he was 18.
Yeah, he signed for us one day, and then the next day
Thursday,
was his birthday.
he signed for us on the Thursday, and the Friday he was 18, turned 18.
I mean, to represent your country at every level, I know some players do it, obviously. Players develop at different times, we know that, but to represent your country at every level, from a schoolboy up to, I'm presuming he's played like under 19 level now, or under 18 level now, and then he'd be looking at, he may have even played under 21s, because you get younger players playing under 21s levels, don't you? But, for me, he's an exciting player for me. Another centre-half as well, which, at a point when I think Dale Fry was injured a lot last season, I thought Lenihan had a good back end, didn't he?
Everything up to the under-20s.
So there you go. So he played under. Paul's got the stats here: under 15s, under 16s, under 18s, under 90s, under 20s. There we go. So it's not as if he hasn't been around the block at 19 years old.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. So the next one we're going to move on to, old Sam Silvera. Sammy Silvera, have I got that right?
Sam Silvera.
Another 22-year-old. So look, he fits the bill. We had Caroline Walker here last week, and she said, you know, she'd read that Carrick had this sort of like profile that he wanted to fit lads, players under the age of 25 and things like that. At the moment, 22-year-old Sam Silvera, winger attacker, attacking midfielder. Has he come in for someone else, Phil? Do you think Isaiah Jones needs to be Woody? Do you think this means maybe the interest in what's his Tosh? Oh, Leicester after now. Giles. So does that mean we were sort of covering our base there?
I think we're going for squad depth. I think Michael Carrick would love to have Giles back at the club. I think we'd love to have Cameron Archer and Ramsey back at the club with the displays that they produced back end of last season. I don't think, purely because of the interview that we all saw with Isaiah Jones a couple of weeks ago, I don't think he's been brought in as a replacement. Or I think Isaiah Jones is probably going to get a fair crack at the whip this season. If it doesn't work for him, Silvera's there. What we will see, though, I think, is a fight between the two of them for which one pulls on the jersey week in, week out.
Yeah.
And that competition, you've got to remember, 2 seasons ago, Isaiah Jones didn't really have any competition. And even when he wasn't perhaps playing as well as he could have, he was still on the sheet. And fans were saying, how's he getting a game? And here's that competition. So let's hope that we see the Isaiah Jones this season with that competition that we saw in his first season, because he was amazing. So let's hope that we see that.
It's great to see us building a squad.
Yeah,
it's
lovely.
Competition of places.
Great.
Low risk, low fees, low risk. But
we're obviously building a squad ready for the Champions League.
Sammy Silvera, it was the highest fee their club ever received for a player.
Yeah, so that was Central Coast Mariners, wasn't it? But he didn't start there, did he? He was the and you know, I'm coming out with all these stats, but it's super duper producer Corton who gets me them all. But it was Western Sydney Wanderers, which he was their under-20s player of the year. Obviously, then made the step up to Central Coast Mariners, and then comes to the Championship. So his career is on upward trajectory,
and you've got
a sharp upward trajectory as well.
It's
Sammy
massive.
Silvera, along with, and we'll come on to Tom Glover, they are 2 of the biggest up-and-coming Australian players. They buzz about him in Australia. They're both of them players. They think they're fantastic. Have a great future ahead of them. So, you know, Australia's not a small country. It's a very, very big country with a lot of potential. And for these 2 to be singled out, and then for Boro to take both of them, is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, and look, he's stats speak for themselves, old Sam Silvera. I mean, he was a main part of Mariners' championship. What is it? The A-League Championship side. He scored 8 goals with you know 4 or 5 assists. So it's not as if he isn't producing as well. And you're absolutely bang on right, Paul. By the way, it is a massive step up from the A-League to the Championship. And you know me, I'm a big advocate of the Championship, because I believe the Championship goes alongside Serie A and La Liga for me. I couldn't care less what people say about your Barcelonas and your Real Madrids, because on their day they'll get a draw against Bristol City. They will. You know, because when they come to the Championship, it's on par with that for me. I mean, it might not be as slow and as silky, but the football is more exciting. That's why people like to come. But he's doing it at under 23 level. He played for the under 23 level twice. So again, like Rav van der Berg, someone's done their own work somewhere here. Whether that be Carrick, whether it be the director of football,
Kieran Scott,
or
Martin Carter.
Yeah. So them 2 guys, along with Carrick, are doing their own work, aren't they, on these type of players? So you mentioned him, Phil, Tom Glover, goalkeeper. I mean, the Boro, we've been linked with 1,000 goalkeepers, haven't we, over the last couple of weeks? But Tom Glover comes to the door, another 25-year-old. So he's on the boundary of what Caroline was saying last week. 25-year-old goalkeeper. Again, Australian, isn't he?
Born in London, I believe. Australian, but born in London.
Yeah.
All right.
Played for Spurs, didn't he? And then moved to Australia for the chance of first-team football. Because obviously at Spurs, he weren't really going to get a look in, was he?
Yeah, so about 2014, he was at Spurs when he saw. But I mean, he's played for Melbourne City, which is probably one of the only clubs I know. There's a couple of Australian clubs I know, but I don't know of Melbourne City. But you told me a thing before we came on air, Phil, about he was the guy, wasn't he, who got it with the bucket?
Yeah, a couple of seasons ago there was an incident. I think the fans were disgruntled at the way the team was playing or something.
No, it was the like Premier League over there had sold the rights to their FA Cup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
there was a disgruntled portion of fans and a metal bucket. It was all over the news around the world. A metal bucket was thrown in the direction of the pitch, and it was Tom Glover who received a bucket to the head.
Why didn't you save it?
Yeah, good shout.
There's always one. Always one.
So, look, you can get involved here with Boro Chat, can you? So send us your messages in. Even if you just, we'll give you a big shout out. Even if you just want to say hello, lads, or something like that, we'll give you the shout out. Or get involved with some of the stuff we know sometimes it's a little bit delayed at us getting your messages, but we'll come back to it and have a chat with them. Have we got anything on there, Phil?
Yeah, there's a couple of people watching. Matthew Wilson, Christine, Marc, Stuart Gawley. Is it Eddie Fearon or Fearon Eddie? I'm going to go Eddie Fearon.
Go on then.
Eddie Fearon's watching. Ibrahim Tanner, Michelle Besford, Lisa Joyce.
Good evening, Michelle.
Craig Hallett, Rob Kushnerenko. So there's a couple of questions. Courtney said, we need depth to our squad. That's what we've struggled with over the years. Ibrahim Tanner says, we have more competition around the squad now. Craig Hallett says, he's a great player, Marc, better than Jones and Ramsey. I think that's Silveri, I think he's talking about.
Craig will know, by the way. Goalkeeper coach extraordinaire, by the way.
Eddie Fearon says, 1 or 2 more experienced players and I think we're good to go. Wouldn't disagree. We're going to come on to the left-back situation shortly.
Himself now, hasn't he?
Yeah. We'll have to come on to that. I mean, look, just before we finish on Glover, I mean, again, it's Courtney and Paul who get us all the stats, but he made his debut for Melbourne City in a 4-0 win over Newcastle Jets, which is another Australian side who I know, because normally they come out with all these Australian sides, and I think I've never heard of them. But, Melbourne City, it's quite a big club, really, in Australia. Yeah. But for us, again, like I say, we were sort of linked with every goalkeeper going where we, including the lad from the under-21s, weren't we? So James Trafford, yeah. who made some fancy. But he made Glover 98 appearances. 98 appearances and played in the Olympics. So, again, for such a young player who's probably going to come in and be either a number 2, would we say number 3? I don't know where Roberts...
Number 2.
I don't know where Roberts sits in this, see.
It's a difficult one.
I'm sure we'll discuss that, but I don't know where Roberts fits in with it, because if I'm Roberts, he'd like to think he's experienced within the Championship and League One, that he should come in and go in charge of Glover, or does Carrick going the other way saying, well, he's now one of my signings? I don't know. Hey, have your say, get involved with us here on Boro Chat. But look, Morgan Rogers said some lovely words this week, didn't he?
Yeah, you have to tell me. I don't know what the words he said were. You have to tell me.
Oh, come on.
The Boro.
Basically,
already?
Yeah.
Basically, I'm obviously I'm not saying it verbatim here, but paraphrasing, he basically said that he played against the Boro, and he liked everything he's seen about it. He liked everything he's seen about the Boro instantly, and as soon as the club came in for him and showed an interest, he was hooked. It wasn't just one of them, the Boro's coming for you. Yeah, and his agent, like, how much like, I'll have a think. I'm at the biggest club in the world, Man City, just won the champ. No. He said, I was hooked. So, for a young player, 20-year-old again, midfielder / forward, hopefully going to get us some goals. Made no appearances, but would you expect a young player like that to make appearances for Man City?
Over Kevin De Bruyne and Jack Grealish?
Would you, even in sort of League Cup games, would you expect him?
The thing is, even with no appearances, he's learned his trade from, and I don't. He's not going to be stood in front of Pep Guardiola week in, week out, but the people in and around Man City who have all of this amazing experience and are absolute experts in the field of football, although he's not been in and around the first team squad, there will be a lot of experience picked up from being in that environment, looking at how these first team players train, looking at how they look after the bodies, the advice that they're given from the sports psychologists and the therapists and everything else. Although he's not coming with on-the-field experience, again, he will come with an element of experience that he can apply to our dressing room.
You don't sign for Man City in the first place if you're not going to be good enough.
No. And looking at the clubs that he's been loaned out to, I mean, Lincoln City made 28 appearances, scored 6 goals. Not a bad turnover for a young lad. And then obviously 21-22 season, he was on loan at Bournemouth, made 15 appearances and scored 1 goal. So he has had a little bit of first team experience there, albeit in League One and were Bournemouth in the Championship in 21-22.
They were.
Oh, that was the season they got promoted, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So, in a promotion season for Bournemouth, he still made 15 appearances and scored a goal. Mm. So, it's not as if he hasn't had a bit of experience there for a young 20... And 2 years ago, he'll have been 18-year-old then.
And I think the comments themselves, like the testament to the club. It was only a couple of seasons ago that we were struggling to attract players. And his comments there when he says, when I saw the team and that's a proper club. A proper club is not just the 11 players on the pitch. It's everything behind the scenes that we as fans very rarely get to see.
It's how they get looked after as well. They aren't sending a taxi to the airport to pick him up. They're sending a proper car. They're there waiting for him.
Absolutely. And a couple of seasons ago, we wouldn't have had players coming to us with comments like that. So this isn't an example of Carrick being in the right place at the right... This is the club now. This is the likes of Kieran Scott, of Neil Bowser, of Steve Gibson himself, working on the back end that we, and making that a place that players want to come.
We've got rid of that old-fashioned managers like Warnock and Wilder who wanted to run it themselves, and now we're bringing everybody in together finally.
Bearing in mind, and look, I know there's fans out there who were disgruntled with our recruiting side of life, Kieran Scott. By the way, I was one of them, because I was saying, we've got a guy here who knows nothing about the club, and is this now the fruition of Kieran Scott with a manager like Carrick, a head coach like Woodgate and Carrick coming in, modern day coaches if you like. We've got rid of the Pulises, your Warnocks, what's his name? Wilder to a certain extent. We're not allowed to say Wilder. But we've got rid of them old heads who couldn't work with Kieran Scott. Is Kieran Scott now a modern thinking director of football with a modern manager and a modern first team coach? Is it now going to come to fruition?
I think that's been evident since the January transfer.
Yeah, I think it has, and that's great for him, because I think when he first came in, it took about 18 months for him for us to see something that he'd done, and for that I remember sitting on the previous shows and saying, what is he doing? What is his job? And we've heard managers in the past say, I've given the club a list of players and they've not gone for any. And we were all sat questioning what the role of Kieran Scott and others was. I think the best example of what his role is and was January, when we bring in Cameron Archer, when we bring in Ramsey.
To go along with that as well, you look at Kieran Scott and Martin Carter, but these players that are coming in as well, they're always saying, I've known Aaron Danks. Yeah. He's always getting a mention. I've known Danksy.
Yeah.
So he's having a big
good on players. Just to finish, before we go to the social media, just to finish on Morgan Rogers, what I didn't say as well is he made 22 appearances for Blackpool on loan last season. Now I know Blackpool didn't have the best season in the world, but he made 22 appearances and scored a goal. For a young lad, 19-year-old, he's also seen that side of the league as well, where things aren't going right. For a young lad to see, and it wasn't just Bournemouth getting promoted that year, he's been in that squad, and then he's gone to Blackpool, and they've gone the other way.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of experience for a young lad.
I think it was the game up here where he played, and he thought, wow.
And it wasn't necessarily the things going wrong on the pitch at Blackpool last season. They had a terrible time off the pitch. I mean, Mick McCarthy was there for not even a month, I don't think, before he resigned and walked away because it was best for the club. And they're in turmoil themselves. So the fact that 22 appearances, he scored one goal, Boro fans shouldn't look at that and go, 22 appearances, only one goal. He's a young lad.
And another thing, what's becoming a common denominator as well, how that Morgan Rogers has represented England from under 15s up to under 20s as well. So again, got a bit of international pedigree as well, and I'm sure that's in the thinking from them first three signings we spoke about. It's in all the thinking, isn't it? Go on then.
Tony Costello says the six we've brought in are exciting, but do we need a couple of season championship?
Hang on. Cozzy, good evening, all the way from Salford. Cozzy, I hope you're well.
Do we need some season championship / premiership players to bring these lads on?
Yeah,
I think so.
Got a point, Annie.
We've got to have a bit of experience in the squad.
That was the next step this season for transfers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He said he wants 2 or 3 season pros in now.
So do we think that could be the loan signings though, Paul? Do we think that's where we could use our loan signings, or do you think we're going to buy?
I think we'll be buying.
I hope so.
Because I'm sick of this loaning players every season. losing them 12, 18 months later.
It's the modern game though now, isn't it?
And it's the cheaper option.
It's
without
the cheaper modern game option. Yeah.
Michelle Besford says Alex Gilbert seems really excited to be here as well.
Good evening, Michelle.
Ibrahim Tanner says, I thought Bowser and Scott were a waste, but you can see what's happening now.
Yeah, Ibrahim, absolutely.
Yeah.
Could not agree more.
That's what we've just touched on. 18 months after he came, we were all asking the same thing. But, you know, this year, from January to now, I think he's really coming into...
He's obviously had this plan, hasn't he, Kieran Scott? This is what I need to do. And then we've had the manager who just said, hold your horses a little bit. I mean, I can't see Warnock, for everything you've done for the club, you know, I love him to bits, but... For everything you've done with the club, Warnock, I can't see Warnock digesting Kieran Scott and saying, well, what do you know, son?
Yeah.
And he's that type of manager, isn't he?
And the thing is...
I think even Kieran Scott's alluded to that in interviews.
He's
done himself, hasn't he? He said, we've finally got everybody working together.
Yeah, all on the same page. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, as Boro fans, when Kieran Scott... Because he came from Norwich, of course, he discovered Teemu Pukki. Yeah. So we thought, well, if he's coming to our club, he's going to go out and find... The next Teemu Pukki, it didn't happen. So there's you know, the fans there are like a bit disheartened. It happened. So we get a bit disgruntled that he's found.
Well, we know what Warnock said about Akpom, don't we?
Yeah. So it's great.
But Michelle alluded to Alex Gilbert. We mentioned Alex Gilbert last week on the show. They flew him out to Portugal, and again, just if you've watched the Boro Live videos on mfc.co.uk, which were fantastic by the way. The way they treat him, picking him up from the Boro, he came and signed his contract. Do you want to go straight? Yeah, I want to go straight out to the campus out in Portugal. Got him out there, picked him up in a nice car, got him into his hotel, got his training gear was all laid out on his bed for him, ready to... That shows the mark of the club now, and I think that them little things, and I know there'll be fans out there going, well, they paid high amounts of money to play football. And things. Some players just need an arm round them and want to be loved. And then they'll do the business on the pitch. If they do the business on the pitch, they can spoon feed him to me. They can spoon feed him his food if he does the business on the pitch. Well, look, Alex Gilbert, 21-year-old, we mentioned him last week, attacking midfielder. I'm excited about this player, I must admit. And bearing in mind, the Brentford B, and we spoke about why it was Brentford B and not academies last week, because they shut their academy down, as you said, Phil, last week. 79 times he played for Brentford B. And he's obviously played twice for the first team, once against the Boro, which we discussed again. Debut. Yeah. But again, hasn't had a bad word to say about the Boro when like someone's come in for me and you that like bear in mind he's at Brentford, Premier League side, isn't he? A lot of people would say, well, why didn't you just stay there? They don't want to get rid of you. Why don't you stay in the B team, try and push into the first team? He's like, no.
Well, why when there's a team coming in for you to put you in that first team? Why would you hang around?
Yeah.
Marcus Forsers obviously spoke to him. I mean, we know how good he's turning out.
Yeah, and I think again, it goes to show. I mean, there'll be fans out there saying Middlesbrough's a massive club. There'll be Leeds fans out there that says Middlesbrough's nothing, but we don't care about Leeds. But again, it goes to show Middlesbrough Football Club, not the squad, the club itself, is a respected club within the Championship, and players will, you know, you go to a team now and tell them that you want to sign them for Middlesbrough. They're not coming to Boro because it's Boro and we're known for going up and coming down, because that doesn't happen. They know of Steve Gibson, you know, Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho have mentioned the way the club is run in the past. You know, Karanka came here through conversations with Mourinho, with what was said about the club and how well it was run and the support he gets and whatnot. So not just from a team being, you know, I fancy playing for Middlesbrough. It's the whole setup that these people are buying into.
Yeah,
that all goes back to Steve Gibson. The way you set the club up, the way he runs the club. We get frustrated that we don't hear a lot from the guys at the top out of season or when things aren't going. But they always seem to bring it round. They always seem to bring it round.
Just got to say the right things at the right time.
Yeah, that's it.
Got a few more now. I'll tell you what, Rob Cush has had a good point there. We're going to come back with Liam Roberts. Do you want to have a quick read out, Phil? So,
yeah,
I know other people who are watching.
Let me find it. Cush says, what do you make of the Liam Roberts situation, lads? Keeping him just because we may not have a keeper in January.
Do you know what, Rob? stumped us. It stumped us a little bit here because obviously we're going to talk about our last but not least signing, which is the goalkeeper from QPR, who I presume, in fact, he's going to be number one, and he's going to have number one on his back. He's not
talking about signing keepers from QPR.
Yeah. You don't pay £2 million for a goalkeeper, and he's going to be your number two, is he? So he's our number one. You've then got young Tom Glover, who I say young Tom Glover, but an experienced goalkeeper who the club obviously think highly of. You've got Roberts, who, in my opinion,
never stepped a foot.
He wobbled a bit when he let them three in a little bit, but to be fair, the team was wobbling. You know,
was that the three when we played Brighton?
Yeah, he let three in, didn't he? But the team wobbled. It wasn't him. But theoretically, for a goalkeeper, the amount of appearances he's made for the body hasn't put a foot wrong, really. But I'm trying to think of it from his point of view, Rob me. So if I'm him now, I'm thinking, I've got experience in League One and the Championship. They're bringing a young lad in from Australia. I understand they're bringing a Senegal international in from QPR as the number one. But surely I must be number two. We're going to speak about it, but the outgoings. But we've just watched two goalkeepers go out on loan. So he must be thinking like that. But then we have got some young understudy goalkeepers as well, which we mentioned in the past. Your Henry Popples and people like that. So
Saltbrain was just gone out.
So where do we find Roberts? Because is he probably going to push for a move, Roberts, and say, well, I need to sort of go here? Or do you think he's just been assured he is number two and Glover's number three, and you two are just going to fight for position?
See, I think you'll be number two. I think you'll be number three.
You think Roberts will be number three?
See, I think Roberts and Glover are going to fight for number two.
I think Glover will be number two.
You see, let's look at both scenarios. If Glover's number two and I'm Roberts, a seasoned player from the Championship, bleeding around the block, I'm going in the office and speaking to Kieran, Scott and Carrick and saying, I'm sorry, but I can't sit here and watch a 25-year-old young lad come through who's played in the A-League in Australia come and sit in front of me. I want to be off.
I would be like that, I think.
So that's where I think he stands. So what Cush is saying is, right, could we possibly be without a number three goalkeeper here if he goes? Because if a club comes into him, he'll go. He'll go. Because he'd rather go and sit at number two somewhere than be number three at the Boro. Surely.
Bearing in mind, in January, you're going to lose Sonny Dieng for a month in the African Cup of Nations.
So could that come into the thought process? Could that come into the thought?
It has to, doesn't it? I mean, Carrick will be well aware of competitions outside of the Championship and the domestic cups and stuff. But it is a great point in what he's saying. Is it because we're going to be without a first choice?
We'll have to get Rob sat in that chair. We'll have to have a chat with him.
With regards to Roberts, is Carrick doesn't like his kicking, his distribution,
and that is a big thing. I mean, we saw.
Well, it's the modern day game.
We saw that with Stefan last season. You know, his distribution, and let's not forget, Carrick wants a ball playing, a sweeper keeper. Yeah. That's how he plays. That's how he played with Stefan. Is Roberts that type of goalkeeper, or is he more traditional and between the sticks? And that's where I'm staying. Is his distribution, if he runs the ball out the box, is his distribution good enough? I know we queried Stefan, but look at where we finished in the league with Stefan between the sticks. Yeah. So does that come into it?
Well, look. I mean, last but not least, let's talk about him then. Sonny Dieng, 28-year-old goalkeeper, £2 million from QPR. It was the worst kept secret in football. He's played for them since 2016. He made 116 appearances for QPR. Actually scored one goal
last season.
Scored for QPR against Sunderland.
That's why Carrick's brought him in.
He's got to be a Boro legend already, hasn't he? But also had a loan spell out at Whitehawk, was it? Whitehawk? Anyway, Whitehawk, and he's played 5 times for Senegal, which brings in the African Cup of Nations, because he is going to go away, and that's where I think Rob's point's massive, because there must be a discussion in that goalkeeping department of what's going to happen in January. What happens if he goes to the African Cup of Nations, plays in a qualifying game and gets injured?
Exactly. Well, not just what if he goes there and they're out within the first 2 weeks? What if he goes and he's there for the full thing, like Courtney said, and they go all the way? He's not going to come back from international duty and go straight back into, because he's going to need to. It's a much higher intensity with the national teams. He's going to need a bit of a rest. So it's not like we're looking at Roberts or Glover to come in for 2 or 3 games. This could be 8 games. It could be
2 or 3 months, couldn't it?
Yeah.
The whole Christmas
And
period
if he gets injured,
It's January, isn't it?
you know,
So 6 weeks. So.
what I'm seeing here is that Carrick is not putting all his eggs in the same basket.
Yeah, yeah.
And as a fan to see that and look and recognise that there is a thought process. Yeah, we're going to bring him in, but we could lose him. We still need to keep ready, not just, you know, Liam Roberts isn't going to go and train with the under-23s. He's going to be in and around that first team, even if he is number 3, because there is a very high chance that he is going to be called upon. I mean, if Glover becomes the first choice in January, we've got FA Cup in January.
Yeah.
Typically, we field our second keeper. Is that where Roberts is going to, like we did a couple of seasons ago with Ujima Bobby under Karanka, what's he called? Mejias. He came in,
Bobby.
Thomas Ujima Bobby.
He came in.
How much did we sign him for? Ujima Bobby?
Had a great cup run at Man United, saved the penalty against Man United.
Yeah.
You know, so there's an opportunity there.
I mean, look, Senny de Jong, 28-year-old, is he one of the experienced players, do we think, that he's brought in? Because he is an experienced player, isn't he? International, been around the block a little bit. He could be one of them experienced players that Carrick's on about, couldn't he? I do think, I agree with Cozzy, I do think we need a couple of experienced players to come in, even for the dressing room. They may not play every week, and that's why, I mean, I got slated that week when I said that Forshaw was a potential signing for the Boro. People, oh no, we don't want him, we don't want him. At the end of the day, whether Forshaw plays 20 games or he plays 20 minutes, he's an old head in a dressing room to keep young players right. Does Carrick look at things like that? Anyway.
I've got a couple more before you go on. A couple more comments. So Tony Guest says, "Where's Piero going to fit in Carrick's plans?"
Good shout, that. Good shout, Tony.
Ibrahim Tanner. I'm gonna have to quack this. Leeds have been quack for years.
Yeah.
They had 2 good seasons and the world beaters. Our manager is a great draw with top-notch pedigree, just like the whole back room. And then there's a great one here. Eddie Fearon's been back on and he says, "What's your thoughts on Barlasser, lads? I'd like to see him play a lot more." I'm a massive fan of Barlasser, so this is a great question.
I'm a massive fan of his name because I can never get it right.
Go on then.
So, Barazla. I don't know.
Put him on the spot.
Barazla. Barazla the Dazzler. Look, I'll tell you what I think. Let's go around in order. I'll tell you what I think. I've never seen him make a mislaid pass. For those who thought he was going to come in and replace Howson straight away, it was never going to happen. Never. Because Howson, whether you think his legs have gone or not, he's got a footballing brain. So he can sit in that midfield all day long, pass that ball off, and let that young kid, Aidan Atney, around him, do all the running around him, and just give him it and say, "There you go, son. There you go, son." And put the fires out. Barazza doesn't want to do that. He'll put the fires out, but he's also a player as well. So there's a time to introduce him. I hate the word player in progress, but I think you will see a lot more of him this year.
Yeah.
I think you will see a lot more of Barazla, whatever you call him. Right, that's what I think. What do you think, Paul?
I think this is going to be his season. Fully agree with you. I don't think he was up to speed at all last year. We saw it in flashes, some of his crosses, but...
And I loved him in Ice Age. Go on. Oh my God. Go on.
I think it was a massive shame that we didn't see him as much as we did last season. And I'm not going to say, you talk about the what ifs, you know, if he'd have played more, could we have beaten Coventry? But what I will say is he came to the club in January as the league's highest assister. Didn't then get a look in, and we fully expected at that point in January that Howson, who only had months left on his contract, there was probably going to be a changing of the guard, and Howson would play less and less towards the end of the season, and Barlasser would come in and become that Johnny Howson-esque player with a bit of a handover. To all of our surprise, Howson then signs an additional 1-year contract, which ultimately kept Barlasser out the squad. But you know, I've seen the videos.
Keep saying his name wrong, doesn't he?
I've seen the videos that Matt Crooks that people are talking about on they are absolutely hilarious. From Portugal, his head's in it. You know, he does look like that squirrel or whatever it is from Ice Age. But
he talks in Matt Crooks like that.
But I really do hope that we see a lot more of Barlasser this season, because I do think, you know, yes, he was at Rotherham for Christ's sake. And he was the top assister in the league at Rotherham. And no disrespect to Rotherham, but who have they got? That, you know, so that's testament to him as a player, as a professional. I would love to see him first game of the season in with a shout. You know, I was one of these fans last season that thought Howson's legs are gone, and there was a couple of games where we perhaps thought as fans, West Brom away, you know, we were absolutely annihilated in midfield, and I felt that was one of these games that Barlasser could have perhaps come on and settled it more than because they were just kicking the ball past Howson and he couldn't keep up. But
Howson is an experienced player to keep in the dressing room, and for me, I totally agree with
I'm excited. I really want to see him. I really want to see him give him a good shot.
That lineup against Millwall is certainly going to be a bit of a surprise.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah. So look, we've got to talk about players going out, and before let's talk about the goal. We finished on De Jong, so let's talk. Obviously, it was announced today that Sol Brynn had gone out on loan. We knew that Zach Hemming had gone back out on loan. I think it was to St Mirren, who he's been with. They love him up there, don't they? Yeah. I think he's going to. In my opinion, he's probably going to end up going up there for free, because I think his wife's settled up there and everything. I think he loves it up there. But obviously, Sol Brynn's gone out on loan. I rate Sol Brynn massively. I rated him as an outfield player when I used to watch him as a kid. He then went in the sticks, a bit like James Trafford. Started as an outfield player, then went in the sticks. I rate him massively, but he's gone out to Leyton Orient on loan. Again, just signed a 2-year contract, by the way, hasn't he? Mm-hmm. Sol Brynn has just signed a renewed contract. So, do we see that ended up be a permanent move, or can we see him coming back to be maybe second or third next year?
I think you'll see him back. Then probably found out on loan again or sold.
Yeah, he's a massive lad as well.
He's getting to the age now where he needs.
And knowing his attitude, I think Sol will want to play. You know, no, I think you can't be from Teesside if you don't want to play for your own town club. But it's a career, isn't it? And he wants to play football. Simple as that.
So I like Sol Brynn. I think the contract, the 2-year contract extension was a good deal for the club, more so than the player. I think if he goes back up to Scotland on loan this season, and they decide to come in and buy him, he's still got a year left on his contract, which means that the fee that they're going to pay is going to be that little bit higher.
And it's free money in it, because he's from the academy.
Said earlier, he's come through the academy, so
it's free.
It's not like we're trying to claw back an investment.
Well, it's free money. It doesn't come off. It doesn't come off the fair play money. It's just it comes in as total profit. Yeah, so you can't even count in the fair play money.
I think that this Sol Brynn deal is more for the club than it is the player. Because, you know, Senny De Jong's come in, he hasn't signed a 2-year contract. He's come in for 3 or 4 years. That's what we've paid for. Tom Glover's come in for 3 or 4 years, and Sol Brynn's only signed a 2-year contract. So these players that we've recently signed are going to be here longer than the contract that Sol Brynn's, and I think that's telling. That's a sign that we're probably going to try and cash in on Sol Brynn.
And the other one, guys, going to Turkish side, Samsun Spor.
Samsun Spor.
Got that right there, didn't I?
Samsung.
Samsung Spor.
Samsung.
I must admit, we broke this last week. We were the look. I love all the other fan pages and things like that. But look, if we can get one up on them, we broke this last week before everyone else, didn't we? And we said that a Turkish club was coming in for him. We didn't know the club at the time, or it was, but we did say there was talks being held with a Turkish club.
That's because I thought they were saying Samsung on the phone.
And look, he's gone. Best wishes to Bowler, to be fair. I mean, I can remember when he first came in with Dykesdale, and I thought, oh my God, we've signed a boxer and a kid who can't play football. In Dykes, I was thinking Dykesdale looks like a boxer, heavyweight boxer, and we've got a kid here who can't kick a barn door. But to be fair, when he comes on, he doesn't put a foot wrong, Bowler. He tries his hardest. I can only wish him well for me, really.
Yeah, good servant to the club over the years. Played, he did what he does, and he became one of these players for us that when he came on, because he played a lot under Woodgate and then eventually Wilder.
Well, Woodgate brought him in, didn't he?
Yeah. But then he sort of fizzled out, and he was more of like not an impact sub, but he came on the pitch when we could see a job needed to be done, and he carried out that job well. not including the Coventry game that we were at there. But fair play to him. He's been here, he's experienced it, he's got an opportunity to go and play abroad. Fair play to him.
For a year, then he'll be back in League One.
Yeah, fair play to him.
But to me, that sale indicates that we've got another left back.
We've had a few more people. I'll tell you what, there's a few new people here watching. It's great to see Tony Guest watching us, and the Piero thing, Tony, I know we've skipped over very quickly. I must admit, mate, I can't see Piero fitting into... I would love to see it, because I think in spells we've seen what Piero could do.
Blackpool was
I just think with the signings Carrick's made, Kieran Scott's made, or whatever, the recruitment team...
They're planning for life without him.
They're planning for life without him.
The injuries that he had over here, he took abroad with him, and they just carried on.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Where we're starting. We finished with Ibrahim Tanner. Michelle Besford says Matt Crook's videos were hilarious. As the way Michelle, they were very funny. Lewis Clark, have I heard talks with Chris Willock? It's died down a bit. And I don't know whether that was because we were inadvertently talking about Chris Willock to try and sign the goalkeeper, which does happen in football. You go in and say, I'm after these two. You make a deal for the one you wanted, and then step away.
Well, Chris Willock's gone on their pre-season tour.
Yeah,
so Dieng was left behind.
Exactly. So, to be honest, as far as we're concerned, I would say that's probably dead in the water. Leeds have been quacked yet. Anthony Jad's watching. Jad, good to see you, mate. What's your thoughts on Barazla? We've said that. I know McNair divides opinion. Where does he play next season? Does he play? We'll come into that. Marc, bowler away to the Turkish side, isn't he? Michelle, he certainly is. Did Dijksteel get injured in training? I'm sure I saw he had to come off during the friendly over there. We're going to talk about the friendly. He did come off during the friendly, absolutely right, Michelle, but it was only precautionary, what I've read.
Yeah.
So, where do we need to improve? How long's a piece of string for me? I think Carrick has got a plan, and who else do I think will leave? I can possibly see two more people leaving, possibly. But anyway,
I think I can see one for definite.
Two
or three.
Yeah, I do. I think some of them who maybe were in Portugal are probably going to go as well. Which I don't want to see, because one of them was a really funny guy, but I think for him to try hang around and do nothing, I think he wanted to rather play. But. Michelle's absolutely bang on right. We played a friendly over there against Victoria. It was behind closed doors, and we won it 1-0 with a For's goal.
That's what that says, though.
No, I don't know what that says. It's
I don't know.
For's.
Marcus Foss.
Marcus Foss.
He's got.
God's sake, call me.
Which, by the way.
At least it's in order this week.
They're always in order.
Yeah, only just.
No, mate, it's spot on. I can't do your notes anymore. But we've got some friendlies coming up, haven't we? So we've got, is it Hartlepool first,
York,
and then York. So is that a chance? Let's just look at the Hartlepool York game, because they're on consecutive days, aren't they? I think one's a Friday, one's a Saturday. We're probably going to see the players we've mentioned, like all them signings, they're going to be involved, aren't they? All the young kids are going to be involved. The goalkeepers are going to be involved. To the point where I probably don't think you'll probably see that DN from QPR, our number one goalkeeper, if you like. I think you'll probably see him at Rotherham, because I think you'll probably see Tom Glover and Roberts in them first two games. With probably the likes of young Henry Popple on the bench and things like that.
You're going to see the likes of Sonny Finch.
Yeah.
Made a couple of appearances towards the end of last season. You expect him to get some game time. It's these friendlies, the Friday, Saturday, is more an opportunity. We know Carrick is a massive fan of the kids. So if anything, it's going to give some of these kids that maybe in the next 6 months are going to be there or thereabouts, maybe knocking on the door of the manager saying, can I be part of the match day squad? It's to give them that first sniff.
He said he's going to split the squad in half, isn't he?
Yeah, it's giving them a bit of playing time, and you'll have kids that have never played yet for the club playing alongside the likes of Hackney and Howson, and then some of them will play alongside Force, and so these kids will be getting that on-pitch experience with some of the more experienced lads, and it's probably just the more, I don't even class them as friendlies. They're like exhibition.
Yeah.
Games, aren't they? Really?
I mean, look. I do. Before we move on to Boro women, I do think we will see a few more incomings, whether they're the experienced players or whether it's Giles, or because with Bowler going out, and obviously he's gone. Good luck to him. I did see on the Boro Lives in Portugal, Hayden Coulson was back training with the Boro. But I've got a feeling he is surplus to requirement. It was only the fact that he was on a 4-year contract, so he's probably going to go back out again for his last year out on loan, Hayden Coulson. That only leaves us really on the books, Boro on the books, Sam Collins and Bryant Bilongo to play down that left-hand side. So it's either Giles or somebody else we've got pending. We cannot.
I think it would be a real
go
shame.
Into the season with just that. Could be.
It would be a real shame to go into the season with that area still valuable, still vulnerable.
Yeah.
When we've done really well.
Yeah, we've covered all the other bases, haven't we?
That'd be that. You know, I'm not going to say I would feel let down, but you would sort of be like, because you just know the teams would see that and be like, that's what we need to. And these guys that we're talking about, who are they? They're kids. They don't have experience. And very quickly, very easily, probably feel a bit the pressure. Certainly, the fans.
I think we should be looking at bringing 2 in, really, for down that side. Because even if you're left, even if you were left with Hayden Coulson as your second, let's say we sign someone of the likes of Giles, or either on loan or down that left hand side. He's not going to play every game in the Championship, Cup games, things like that. So even if you kept Hayden Coulson as a backup plan.
But we've got to look here at the centre-backs. Because we've now got Rav
van der
You've
Merwe,
got Dale Fry. You've got Lenihan. McNair.
Matt Clark.
You know.
Still at the club. Who? Yeah, exactly. But he's still at the club.
But who's your 2 there? Rav's coming. He's going to be knocking on the door. I've come into the club. This is what I want to do. This work. Who does he dislodge there? Lenihan, who I thought had a solid season last season.
And Dale Fry was injured most of it, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
I think you'll see Lenihan and Rav.
So then
Lenihan's the oldest one out of the 3, isn't he?
Because
Lenihan's the oldest one out of the 3.
I think we've seen McNair play left back, but I don't think we've seen.
Well, I fear for Paddy. I think Paddy could be one of the ones who goes out. I know someone said, "What do you think about Paddy McNair?"
Well, playing a 3. Who's to say Sammy Silvero won't move to left wing back?
Good, another great shout by the Redcar Rock, fellas. Before we go, imagine our super duper producer switching the phone up so she can listen to us, and we're only sat 15
centimetres.
Yeah. How many times at the start did she say?
Yeah, turn your phone off. So look, we're the only fan group who mentioned Boro Women, and we love that because we want to be all part of Boro Women. We want to be sort of trying to cover them week in, week out. 3 new signings that the new gaffer's made. Beth Guy, Sarah Byrne and Abby Towers. Do we know much about them, Super Duper?
Not a lot. One of them's returning, but we've also made 3 more signings today, just before we came on air.
Oh, wow.
So 6 senior men signed for the club last week, and
now 6 women.
6 women.
So the Boro have gone transfer crazy, haven't they?
12.
They've signed 12 brand new people to the club, 6 female and 6 male. Wow. Hey, look, before we go, guys, I've got to mention the England under-21s. We can't not congratulate Lee Carsley and his backroom staff and the guys there. Obviously, Aaron Ramsey is not as involved as much as he would like. Certainly, Cameron Arch coming off the bench and scoring a couple of corkers. But look, England under-20, it seems that right across the board, England are doing really well. From the England women, England under-18s, England under-21s, and then we get to the men's side, and we just need to win something, don't we? I think we're there.
To go a whole tournament without conceding a goal.
And the way...
We were linked with him 2 weeks ago.
I was sat watching... I was at Lee Bythwaite's house. I was sat watching it, the brother-in-law, and I said, got the penalty, and he was like, head in his hands, and I said, this will make him a superstar.
Yeah, we said
if he saves this, it'll make him a superstar. And that made him a £19 million goalkeeper to Burnley.
Absolutely brilliant.
And on that bombshell... Hey, look, before we go, I've got to say a few thank yous. This is our 4th week. We've been going. Boro Chat has been going 1 whole month.
Get in.
It's our month. It's our month. We made it. It's our month without upsetting anyone. Without upsetting anyone. Look, thanks for all. We get loads of emails and we get loads of messages. I know we can't message you all back and things like that. I just want to put one thing out there and straight. You are all well aware that myself and Phil used to be on another show. All right. There is. And we've been asked...
What about us 2 weeks there as well.
Yeah, but we were the front of the show.
These guys.
We were the glue that kept them together.
Yeah, they are right. They are right because we couldn't do it without these two. But look, and we get loads. I've had loads of messages. Oh, why have you done this? Why have you left here? And that. There's no animosity whatsoever. Like there's no like hidden rabbit. Boro Chat. Social media is big enough for Smoggies on Tour, for Red Army, for Boro Chat, for Boro Fan Zone, Rainbow Reds, and any other Boro fans. It's big enough, and the more we talk about the Boro, the more we big our town, and the more we big our football club up, the better for me. The better for me. So all those, and they all come in, you're still on the credits of that other, so what? So what? Okay. I loved it. I loved doing that, but I love doing this as well. So, and it took these to get me out of retirement for 2 years. So, yeah, and Phil and the Redcar Rock. So
that's Paul. I'm Phil. That's Paul.
Yeah, I don't even know him. I'd like to thank the club that have allowed us to use the room and the studio, which we've decked out like this. Fantastic people. We've got 2 great sponsors. We're going to be unveiling one next week, which is BT Promotions. Thank you very much, Tony and Baz, for looking after us.
We're going to unveil it next week.
T-Sad,
tells everyone anyway.
T-Sad Travel as well.
Shameless plug.
He hasn't done a shameless plug. But our big thanks has got to be for you guys who come and watch us, because the viewing figures for the last 4 weeks have absolutely blew us out the water, because we knew we would get the old favourites on who used to watch me and Phil every other week. But to have all these new guys get involved, and I think it's to do with the local football as well, because we've got a lot of local football players and young kids and young coaches watching us as well. It's been absolutely fantastic. So look, we can only thank you. You make Boro Chat. So next Monday, we will have another fantastic guest next Monday, which is, we won't tell him because it's a little surprise. It's a blast from the past. He's going to be with us. And then I'm away. I've got to go and put my feet up. Because
Paul's heading that show.
Because you're killing me. Because she's killing me. But on that bombshell, I'm going to watch the psychic next door. And she told me, she said, you're going to have 2,500 people watching this show, Mark. She was wrong. There was only 2,449. So, on that bombshell, we will see you from the Teesside Rambler, the Redcar Rock, Yaff, In Our Gaff, and Super Duper. We'll see you next week. See ya.